Hi, I'm Bill Lampton, the Biz Communication Guy. As a business consultant, I get asked many questions. For example, how do we improve our customer service lingo? How do we teach our people to talk more effectively when they're dealing with customers? In management, how can we give better instructions so that people understand them? In our sales, how can we close more sales? Those are some of the communication questions I get asked. Yet occasionally I get some questions which are not so complex and are really fun. And I'm thinking now of questions which have to do with some of the common expressions that we use every day. For example, bite the bullet. Where would that one come from? It means, as we know, that we're going through tough times and we have to really gird up for that occasion, get through it. Okay, go back historically to Civil War days. The Civil War soldiers did not have the advantages, the benefit of the wonderful anesthesia that we have today. As a result, when they had an injury, a wound out in the battlefield, the doctor would come to them and would have to operate, if you can believe this or even imagine it, without anesthetic. What would they do for the soldier? They'd put a lead bullet in his mouth and say, "This pain is going to be very intense. Just bite the bullet and see if you can get through it." Ever since then, bite the bullet has meant getting through some very tough times. Another one would be, "His name is Mud." Again, this one goes back quite some distance. Dr. Samuel Mudd was the physician who treated John Wilkes Booth for a broken leg after John Wilkes Booth assassinated Abraham Lincoln. You remember the story where Booth jumped from the balcony onto the stage, and in doing that, he broke his leg. He found Dr. Samuel Mudd nearby. Dr. Mudd had no idea who John Wilkes Booth was or what he had done. And yet the authorities held Dr. Mudd responsible, sent him to prison. He stayed there several years until the next President of the United States, Andrew Johnson, pardoned him, largely because, as a physician, Dr. Mudd had helped find a cure for yellow fever, and therefore he got his pardon. And then one of my favorites is raining cats and dogs. Where in the world did we get that? We got it from medieval England. The low roofs were made of thatch, and often at night the dogs and the cats would get up there either from a hillside or maybe the owner putting them up there to sleep. Everything went well until there was a violent, tremendous thunderstorm that pelted that thatch roof, opened it up, and the cats and the dogs fell through. I'm sure somebody must have said to somebody else at one time, "Guess what? It's raining cats and dogs." There's one more that I enjoy talking about, and that is mind your P's and Q's. One origin of this in thought was that when a teacher was teaching people how to write, they had the letter O on one side. If you put your line, the word became a P. On the other side of it, if you put your line, the word became a Q. So the teacher would say to them, as she was teaching handwriting, which I guess, unfortunately, we're not teaching anymore, she would say to them, "Be sure to mind your P's and Q's." However, the version that I like best would be in the old-time bars where the bartender would be serving the patrons. He was constantly worried, would one of them get so drunk that they'd start a fight, or maybe they'd walk out without paying. So the bartender kept a tab there. For every pint the person bought, it would be a P. For every quart that they bought, it would be a Q. And when the bartender would look down at the tab, and by the way, that may be why we say in a bar nowadays, do you want to pay for that now, or would you like to put it on the tab? So the bartender would look, and if someone had bought and consumed too many P's and Q's, he would tell them, it's time to start minding your P's and Q's. I'll bet you've got some words like these that you're very interested in. Where did they come from? You can probably Google them. And there are also some books available on the topic. I have one called, I think, Why You Say Those Things. There are several books I've had like that. Very, very fascinating. This, of course, differs from generation to generation. The common phrases, the amusing ones in the 40s and 50s and the 1960s would not be in vogue now for the most part. Also, it differs from country to country and from region to region. You will enjoy, I believe, doing a little exploration and finding out why you not only mind your P's and Q's, why it's raining cats and dogs, and why his name is Mud. Have fun doing that. On a more serious note, I invite you to visit my website, bizcommunicationguy.com. That's B-I-Z, bizcommunicationguy.com. Also, give me a call so that we can discuss how my services will benefit you and your company by strengthening your communication, sales, management, customer service, teamwork, motivation, and, yes, profits. My number, 678-316-4300. Look forward to hearing from you. Thanks for being with me for this version of Facebook Live. Look forward to our next visit together here. And now, as always happens, it's time to push the old finish button. Thanks again.